Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're interested on how I did this makeup look right here, then stay tuned and keep on watching. So starting off, I'm taking my Urban Decay primer as usual, and I'm putting that all over my eyelids just to give me a good base and to cover any pigmentation I have on my eyelids, like my veins or anything like that. So this is just going to cover that and act as a base for my eyeshadow. To spread the product, I'm using this brush. This brush is very helpful to me when spreading this product. You can use your finger or a sponge, but for me, I just like using this brush. So I will be going in with my modern Renaissance palette. It is an old palette and I've had it for the longest since it first came out. So it is a little bit crusty and dusty, but it's alright. It still works in my book. So I'm going to use just a regular flat eyeshadow brush. So I'll be dipping in this shade right here. It's called Warm Taupe. It's just a light brown shade that I'm just going to use to put all over the eyelid just to neutralize my eye color on there. In this process of applying the product, you don't really need to be neat or anything. You're just putting it all over your lid. Going back into the palette, I'm taking what's left of the shade. It's called Burnt Orange. I love this shade so much. And I'm just going to apply that all over the lid on top of the previous color just to warm it up a little bit. Now I'm taking this fluffy pointed brush and I'm going into my James Charles palette and I'm using this shade right here and I'm packing it on the outside of my eye first, and then I'll start creating a cat eye kind of shape. I like to go back and forth between eyes when doing this part just to make sure it's symmetrical and it's perfectly even. So if you see me going back and forth, that's why. I don't really like doing one eye first and then the other one. I usually like to go back and forth between eyes just to make sure they're nice and even. Now I'm just going back and forth between blending each eye. This part does take some time because I want it to be pigmented and I want it to be well blended, so I keep going back and forth and adding a little bit of product and blending on both eyes. Now I'm just going in with another fluffy brush. This one isn't pointy and it has no product on it, so I'm just using that to help blend everything out. Now I'm just going in with some concealer. I'm using this flat concealer brush by Morphe, and I'm going to use my Huda concealer as usual, and I'm just going to cut my crease. Now I have a weird eye shape, so I'm just doing this weird trick that I do, which is roll my eyes a little bit or look up just to see where the concealer would touch, and that's basically where I'm gonna fill my concealer up to, is that line. And that just helps because when I have my eye open, you can still see where that color is, compared to if I did it a little bit lower, you wouldn't see it at all because of my eye shape. Right here, I'm just using a smaller brush. It's still flat, and I'm just using that to help me clean up some of the outer portion to make sure the line is nice and even. So now I'm just taking a small fluffy brush and I'm going back into my James Charles palette. I'm going to use this shade right here, but then I also decided to mix it in with a light pink shade. So that's what I'm doing. So I just basically mixed it with this one and then the light pink shade right here. And I'm going to put that on top of the concealer. So I didn't really like the small fluffy brush, so I am going to switch that out because I didn't like how it was applying. So I got a flat brush just to apply the product, and that applied a lot better. So now I'm just going back in with that previous shade that I have, and I'm just applying that on the outer corner just to help blend out the cut crease. And I'm also going around the cut crease to basically define the shape a little bit more. And by doing that, I'm just using this small fluffy brush. I also go back and forth between brushes just to make sure it's still blended. Even though I am adding a little bit more product to define it, I do go back in with a brush that has no product on it just to help blend it out. Now I'm just using mascara. Whatever mascara you use, go ahead and apply it. I'm using the Lash Princess mascara, the pink one, and I'm just putting that on my top lashes. So after mascara, I applied some lashes. These lashes are by Lacy Lashes in the style Moon. I had to write it on the back because the name wasn't on there at all. And then for my face, I'm going to use this cushion foundation. This foundation usually does come with the little puff right here, but I don't know where it went. And this is what the product looks like. So I'm just going to be going in with the brush and applying that to my face. Now this foundation, I do love the formula of it. It feels lightweight, it's nice. The only problem is I don't think the shade matched too much, which I kind of ended up reacting to a little bit later, but it's okay because I know how to fix that, which I will show later on in the video. So I'm just applying the foundation with my brush all over my face, and I don't have any primer on. I don't know why sometimes I just don't wear primer. Now I'm going in with my Age Rewind concealer, and I know this looks like I'm just making everything worse because it just doesn't look like it matches and it makes me look like a ghost pretty much. But I will show you once we put the powder on, everything will blend together. Now I'm just using the sponge by E.L.F. to blend out the concealer. The sponge is not wet. I don't know why. I feel like dry sponges apply the product a little bit better and save me some product, so that's why. But the sponge is very affordable and I do recommend it. Now I'm just going in with some setting powder, and I'm putting that in all the areas I had the concealer in. So now this is what's going to save us. That's what I pretty much said. Because I look pale, so this is going to bring me back to life and match my neck and everything perfectly is this powder. So I'm using this Y6 brush by Morphe. It's just flat and very well compacted. So I'm using that to pick up the product and just pack it on everywhere that I don't have my setting powder on. And then I'm also going to dust some of the setting powder off and press it in as well. Now I'm just going in with my Fit Me powder, and then I'm taking a big fan brush, which is pretty thick, and I'm going to dip that in and just basically sculpt my face out a little bit with it. And the shade that I'm using to help sculpt this out is in the shade Mocha, and it is the Fit Me powder. Now I'm just using an eyeshadow brush and I'm going back in with that powder just to basically sculpt my nose and make it a little bit more shaped and slimmer than what it actually is. So that's what I'm doing right now with this eyeshadow brush. With my James Charles palette, I'm going back into this color, which is the same color we used on the top. And I'm just basically going to use a small fluffy brush and apply that to my lower lash line. Without doing this, I feel like the look just is not complete. I always have to have eyeshadow on my lower lash line if I have it on my top lid. Now that I finished my lower lash line, I'm just going to apply some mascara to my lower lashes. Going back in with the setting powder and the sponge that I used before, I'm just going to dip some more into the setting powder and I'm going to clean up that contour I did a little bit earlier just to sharpen it up. While the powder is setting and sitting there, I am going to do my lips. So I'm just taking a nude lip liner and I am overlining my bottom lip and my top lip with it just to make my lips look more fuller. Going in with a darker brown shade, I'm just going to fill in the outer corners of my lips just to add more dimension to it before I apply any lipstick. I am also using the shade to help define my lips a little bit more on the top and a little bit on the bottom, just because my Cupid's bow, I want it to be a little bit more defined, and then I also want my lips to look more plump. Now I'm just putting some lipstick on just to blend everything together. So I apply that to the top and the bottom, and it's just like a nude light pink lipstick that I'm using. Now I'm just using my finger just to blend everything together so it doesn't look too harsh and unnatural. Now going back in with this brush that had the powder to match my skin earlier, I'm just going to use that to dust this off and to blend it in. So I'm just pressing that powder in with it, and I'm also just dusting a little bit of it off. And I'm going up and down in circular motions just so it doesn't show a harsh line. Now I'm just going in with some blush. This is by Tarte. It's in the shade Party. And I'm just using my blush brush to apply that to my cheeks and my nose. And then I also use it to kind of bring more life into my face and my other areas, and to blend in my face a little bit more. Now I'm just using some Becca highlight that I have, and then this is in the shade Champagne Pop. I'm just going to apply that on top of my cheeks, my nose area, a little bit on my Cupid's bow later on, and then a little bit above my eyebrows just to give me a glowy look. I also take this highlight and apply it to my inner corner just to help brighten my eyes a little bit more. So now I'm just going back to my lips, and I'm applying this plumping lip gloss by E.L.F, which is affordable and it's super good, and I'm just going to apply that on my lips. When applying the lip gloss, I like to do a tapping motion just because I feel like if I swipe, it defeats the purpose of using the different shades on my lips, so that's why. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video.